Happy holidays, yogis. This is just a sequence that I put together. There's nothing holy or sacred about it. It is just a list of digestive postures kind of put together in a flow. And the digestive postures, if you read the article, are just targeting the fascia and the muscles around the organs, as well as some of the organs themselves. But more importantly, the act of rolling out your yoga mat is your best bet to help your digestion. The digestion is a part of the resting operating system of our brain, resting and digesting. And it's the antithesis to the fight or flight. And it's not like you flip and toggle back and forth between the two. You're kind of sliding between a spectrum of the two. And this yoga will just slide you more towards your parasympathetic or your resting digesting system. And the fascia that wraps the digestive organs responds best to compression, twisting, and tugging. So that's basically what we're gonna do. We're gonna compress the organs and the soft tissue that wraps them. We're gonna twist them a little bit, we're gonna stretch them a little bit, and compress them a little. And that's what kind of resets their motility or their ability to kind of move around in their own little home and their function. And they function best when they're not blocked or stuck, just like we do. So we're gonna start on our bellies. I'm gonna do this sequence much faster than you'll want to, but just for the sake of demonstration. And you can stop at any time. When you're done, you can start at the beginning and work halfway through. You can start in the middle and work up. You can skip around. You can do whatever you want with these. This is just an example. So I'm gonna start in crocodile pose with my arms forward on my belly with my elbows clasped in my palms. Stretching my elbows as far forward as I can and my toes as far back as I can. Taking some deep breaths, feeling my belly pressing into the floor, and there's that compression. After a few breaths in crocodile, you can then open it up to half crocodile. One cheek on the mat looking towards one side with that side knee moving away from your center. Changing sides to the other. Switching the cheek and the knee. Just feeling the length down the side of the body that's bent. Then straightening that right or other side leg. Come up into Sphinx pose. You're gonna work your elbows right underneath your armpits. Forearms are parallel to each other. You can spread your fingers if you like, or you can put them all together like a sharp blade pushing down into the floor. Pull your elbows to your hips. I'm also pulling my hips towards my elbows. So it's an isometric contraction, which contracts the muscles in order to do what we're trying to do. But since we can't make the muscles shorter by pulling elbows and hips towards each other, when we let go, that isometric contraction kind of resets the natural length of our muscles. It tells our muscles to get a little longer. So shoulders pull back. I'm trying not to spoon my chest, which is my natural inclination. Opening my collarbone, shoulders into the back, maybe even pushing my breastbone forward. And then after releasing that, you're gonna tuck your toes and find forearm plank just so you tighten up the belly again. So we just stretched it. We're gonna compress it, tuck the toes under, push into your elbows, and just find a forearm plank. Tuck the belly up towards your spine and pull your pubic bone towards your belly button and your belly button towards your heart. And that just cinches up your midline a little bit and supports this forearm plank. From there, tiptoeing your toes towards your elbows into dolphin and pushing the floor down with your forearms and forward so that your heart and chest move backward. Let your head go. From here, drop your knees down and we're gonna take puppy pose, extended puppy. So ideally, you drop your knees, they're right underneath your hips. Then you can stretch your arms out, lower your chest, and then your forehead or chin. Reaching your arms, letting your spine kind of be like a ski slope. that you start up at the top and it gets a lot of speed coming down the spine and slows down as it gets towards your head, and then slows down all the way as it gets to your thumb. And press into your palms, come up part way and walk your hands under your shoulders. Cat-cow. You can be spicy if you like. Just like we did in Sphinx, you can pull hands towards knees in your cow pose and push hands and knees away from each other in your cat pose. Again, you're stretching the fascia that wraps the organs in your cow, letting your back muscles push your belly down, and then strengthening those tummy muscles, pulling them up, letting your back stretch, and compressing your organs as you find your cat. And walk your hands up. We're going to take some twists. So we'll start with the left foot forward, any foot, but we're going to start with the same side, hand and foot. So my left foot's forward. I'm going to take my left hand forward. I'm going to hug my ribs with my right arm and help myself twist as I put my hand down, pulling your spine or pulling your ribs towards the direction you're going to twist, and then the right arm continues the twist, not by throwing your arm back to get the twist, but by letting your right ribs roll back, and that brings your arm back. Change sides, right hand down, left arm out. You can help it if you'd like with that little hug. And we'll change sides. So the left foot steps back and the right foot steps forward. Right hand inside first. Left arm hugs the ribs. Twist and reach. Switch sides. You can help twist and reach. Then I'm going to take both hands inside my front foot, tuck your back toes under, and walk your hands to the long edge of your mat as all 10 toes turn that way. Soft knees. You're just going to let your spine kind of hang and shimmy down from your hips. So just kind of shake it out. Try not to crank yourself down. We do that often. And that's good if you want to find some traction in the spine, but we're just letting the spine hang upside down. You can move the weight into the ball of your foot, or you can keep it in the heels. You can play with your feet a little bit, really pressing into the outer ankle at the back of your foot, and then rolling into the big toe mound at the front of your foot. And then find your way part way up so that you can toe heel your feet a little closer. Turn your toes out and drop into Malasana. You can always support your bum with a block so that you're not just sitting into the joints, which can put too much pressure on your tendons and ligaments. You can take your elbows inside the knees and press them out. You can take this to a twist in your Malasana if you'd like. So some of you can do a half bind. Take same side arm around the back, and then other side arm around the back of your leg, other side arm around your back, and twist. You can do that to each side, but you can also just set one palm down and take the other arm up. So this is just a different version of a twist in Malasana. And come back to the straddle fold, turn yourself to the top of your mat, and come back to that half kneeling. Next, we're going to take a side bend. So I'm going to scooch back just a little bit. You can take your arms over the head with interlaced fingers, or grab opposite elbows. And you're going to take your upper body to the side of your front knee. So my right knee's forward. I'm going to take my upper body to the right. Just lifting up out of this left hip. Squeeze that left glute, the one you're leaning away from, just so you stay stable and you don't overstretch that hip. Come back to center and change sides. Other knee down, other foot forward, different grip overhead, and lean to the other side. So you're side bending here like your half moon. The hips can come a little forward, squeeze that right glute so you stay steady. And come back up. And we're going to drop both knees and do camel. So hands in your back pockets. You can also do this seated, but you're just gonna stretch this whole section. So you're thinking from the pubic bone all the way up through your chin. If you wanna do it kneeling, you can start with your knees to your pubic bone. So pressing the knees down so you stay grounded, the shins down. Lift your pubic bone off your knees. You'll feel that just change slightly the position of your pelvis. Then lift your belly button off your pubic bone, your sternum off your belly button, your chin off your sternum, and then you can start to arch everything back, but keep the lift. So from knees to pubic bone to sternum, sternum bone to throat to chin, all the way through the eyes and the crown of the head, supporting yourself the whole time with your hands on your back until you can see about halfway down the back wall, then maybe one hand at a time to your heels, which is not in my practice right now, so I'm not going to demonstrate, but you all know that. Sitting back down on your heels, counter that deep back bend by a deep forward fold. Tucking your chin, you can take rabbit if you know it, holding onto the heels, lifting your hips, or you can keep your hips down and just stay low in embryo pose. And think of, when you're in embryo pose, your belly kind of pressing against your thighs like you're in a panini machine, where the two pieces of the machine press the breads together and whatever inside kind of oozes out the side. And that's where you want your breath to kind of ooze out the side between your belly and your ribs. Slowly roll yourself up from that. We're going to take ourselves to a supine position. You can finish your practice right there in just a supine savasana, or you can move into wind relieving pose. So on your back, right knee into your chest. The pressure comes out and in as well as top down. So the knee moves away from the towards your right bicep first, and then towards the right chest wall, right against those ribs, but from the outside in. Same thing on the other side, left leg out and in and down. Release the left leg, take both knees. You can go out and in just like the other. Wrap your arms over the top, but try to keep your knee right up close together, pulling down into the belly. Release this to happy baby, so the knees can go wide again. Grab your feet. They stay right over your knees, so try not to let them turn out or cave in. It's like you're doing a deep squat. Your feet are on the ceiling, and you're just letting your thighs come parallel to the ceiling. So the knees go towards the floor on the outside of your ribs now. If it's hard to grab your feet and your shoulders are way up off the mat and your chest is spooned, take that same sensation of shoulders into the back, broadening the collarbone, and then you can start to pull with your biceps. Otherwise, just pull with your lats so your shoulders are grounded. And as best you can, keep your sacrum on the mat as well, so you're not curled up in your happy baby. Then release your feet. Bring them close together, let your knees open out. And just to get that lengthening or that longitudinal stretch, you can reach your arms over your head in your cobbler's pose, or grab opposite elbows. Or interlace your hands behind your head so your elbows are out wide like your knees. Exaggerate the curve of your back here like cow. So as you take your deep breath, let that whole cylinder from your armpit to your hips all the way around, let it lengthen in the front like it's going to split open. And then as you exhale, let it soften back into its cylinder shape. And then we'll finish up with a spine twist. So this can take all different shapes. You can take a figure 4, drop your knees to one side and twist that way. You can pull both knees to your chest, drop them to one side and twist that way. You can just take one knee to your chest and drop it to the opposite side. I think you all have a plethora of spine twists in your repertoire, so whichever one feels the best to your midsection, like right around your solar plexus. It's going to be the most effective. Not the one with the most sensation, but the one that you can still take deep breaths in. And when you finish with that spine twist, make sure you honor that whole entire sequence with a few breaths in Savasana. In the Savasana, and you've probably heard this from all your teachers, the Savasana is where you get the benefit of all the squeezing and the tugging and the twisting and the torquing that you did in the previous postures. So don't forget your Savasana. Happy holidays, yogis. Namaste.